I'm Amanda Figueroa Nieves. I'm the current research news reporter at the Daily Texan, and I have the honor of interviewing Laura Beil, Daily Texan alumna. Would you like to introduce yourself with your professional background and a little bit more about your work at the Texan?
Sure. So I have been a journalist since the 1980s. I worked at the Daily Texan. I went from there. I spent a couple years in Louisiana working at papers there. And then I spent most of my career at the Dallas Morning News. I worked there for a long time. I quit a little over 10 years ago. I've been freelancing ever since, writing mostly magazine features. And then the last few years, I've been doing audio writing and hosting journalistic podcasts. I actually was a student at Texas A&M. My senior year, I applied to medical school. I went to go to medical school. And the short story is that I started thinking, okay, well, if I don't get in, what would I want to do for a backup? And I always loved to write. I got accepted into journalism school and medical school. And I just decided that journalism would be a lot more fun. So I went into journalism with the intention of always writing about medical and science issues. And when I was working at the Daily Texan, my dream was I wanted to work at the Dallas Morning News because I grew up in Texas. That was the biggest, most prestigious paper was the Dallas Morning News. And that's where I wanted to work. And that's where I set out to work. And I stalked the Dallas Morning News for a few years. Like I met an editor. I was lucky in that way, in that I had my dream job within like 3 years of working. I think it's a lot harder now. And I feel for you. I feel for everybody there because it is hard starting out. But if you want it bad enough and if you love the job, you'll find a way. Well, the Daily Texan is a great place to start because a lot of what sort of happens at the Daily Texan in terms of writing and reporting for me was very similar to when I got my first newspaper job. It really does give you that feel for talking to people, doing interviews, thinking on your feet. I was covering kind of campus administration. And that was a great beat because it's just so much happening on there. And you're like interviewing the president of the university, when you catch him walking from one building to another. You're running up to him. He's like, okay, well, I'm going here to there. You can walk with me and ask me questions there. It's just really great training. It was for me. I assume it's still like that for anybody. And even when you weren't working on a story, you just go down there and hang out with people because it's just they were the most interesting, funnest people on campus. There are people that I met at the Daily Texan I'm still friends with. One thing we do as journalists is we always have to ask people about the worst thing that has ever happened to them. There's no more difficult question to ask someone than, tell me how your baby died. Tell me about this operation that changed your life. And it's really difficult. So they have to trust you. They have to be comfortable with you. And they have to recognize that you are not going to take advantage of their pain. Every story is important because those people you talk to and those people you quote, those are human beings. And so those stories are important to them. I was really proud of Dr. Death, I have to say, because one reason I wanted to tell that story was to try to hold people accountable. That's what we do in journalism, right? That's why we go into the job, to make a difference and to hold people accountable. And if you listen to it, it's really not a story about Dunch. It's a story about our healthcare system. And I got so much feedback from schools and other people in the medical community saying this has really caused a lot of soul searching in our institutions. It's required listening for students in their medical ethics classes. It's, in hospitals saying we're reviewing our procedures because of this. And you hope to make a difference. So I was proud of that podcast because maybe it did make a difference. Maybe it empowered people. It's curiosity. That's what drives us, right? You're just curious. That's what's so great about our jobs. You can just say, I wonder what's going on with this, or what's that all about? And then you can just kind of follow that thread and see if there's anything interesting there. I can't say there's any formula to it. You just follow your own instinct and you follow your own curiosity. And that's what makes our job so much fun. You just have to love it. And I still love the job. I've been doing it a long time and I still love it. And I think that's a great thing to be able to say.